Hello students, myself Sadhana Gade. I am working as an assistant professor in Maratha Vidya Prasarak Samaj S.V.K.T Arts, Science and Commerce College, Deolali Camp, Nasik. Now today we will discuss about the new and interesting topic, that is molecular symmetry, in which we have to study the symmetry elements in detail. Now see these various pictures. The symmetry is all around us, that is in life, in art as well as in chemistry there is a symmetry. Now the question is that what is meant by symmetry, or what is the symmetry? So symmetry is derived from the Greek word symmetria, which means measure together. This word is very important, measure together. Now the symmetry of molecules and solids is a very powerful tool for determination and description of structure of molecules, giving description of the molecular geometry and molecular configuration, then an understanding of bonding and physical properties, as well as predicting the nature of molecular orbitals. These are the various applications of the symmetry. We have to learn about the symmetry element and symmetry operation. First, we will discuss about the what is meant by symmetry elements. Symmetry element is a geometrical entity such as a point, a line or a plane about which an inversion, a rotation or a reflection is carried out in order to obtain an equivalent orientation. Simply, symmetry element is nothing but a geometrical entity with respect to a line, point or a plane. Now the second term is the symmetry operation. A symmetry operation is a movement such as an inversion about a point, a rotation about a line or a reflection about a plane in order to get an equivalent orientation. Simply, symmetry operation. Operation means what? There is a movement in a molecule, and the symmetry elements and symmetry operations, these two terms are totally correlated with each other. Symmetry elements classified into the 5 different types. First one is center of symmetry, which is also called as an inversion center, and it is denoted by a symbol small I, and its symmetry operation is the inversion of all the atoms through the center. Second symmetry element is the proper axis of rotation, and it is denoted by the symbol Cn, and its symmetry operation is one or more rotation by an angle theta is equal to 2 pi divided by n about the axis. Now here theta is the angle of rotation with respect to the molecule get rotated. Now the third type of symmetry element is the plane of symmetry, and it is denoted by the symbol sigma, and its symmetry operation is reflections in the plane. Now the atoms get reflected in the plane of symmetry. Now the fourth type is the improper axis of rotation, and it is denoted by the symbol Sn, and its symmetry operation is one or more rotations by an angle theta about the axis followed by reflection in a plane perpendicular to the rotation axis. Now into the improper axis of rotation there is a rotations followed by reflections are carried out, and the last one type of a symmetry element is the identity. It is denoted by the symbol E, and its symmetry operation is that there is no any change in a molecule, that is simply molecule is as it is, or molecule get rotated by 360 degree angle. let us discuss one by one symmetry elements in detail. Now discuss the first symmetry element, that is center of symmetry or the inversion center. Now what is the center of symmetry or inversion center? It is the imaginary point in the center of molecule through which the reflections of an atom in a molecule results with an equivalent atom, or it may be each atom in a molecule is moved along a straight line through the inversion center to a point an equal distance from the inversion center. Now let us consider the example titanium tetrachloride. In this molecule, what happens? Let us consider the imaginary point or imaginary center, then through which center there is a reflections is carried out, that is Cl1 is reflected on Cl3 and Cl3 get reflected on Cl1, and simultaneously Cl2 get reflected on the Cl4 and Cl4 get reflected on the Cl2. Simply there is a inversion is taking place, and this is nothing but a center of symmetry or the inversion